I start to put tension on my string to draw back. I was like, okay, I'm gonna smoke.
It's him. You can look at the horns when he's dead. I'm in the zone. Let the arrow go, just perfect.
When they lose their front shoulders and you start, that's how you know there's smoke.
Went about 5-10 more yards. He probably went 20 yards total, tipped over, tried getting back up, and I saw him fall over.
We rough scored him here in the garage that night. We got like 156 and something like that, and then the next day we came up to 163 even.
You're listening to the White Cat Outdoors podcast, bringing you to the table where we talk about the outdoors.
Guys, this is a huge episode.
Real big.
Huge.
Everyone's excited. I'm sure you guys are excited. This is
especially with that badass intro.
Right? Brand new. And
spanking new.
Yeah. We did it, new intro, because one whole year of podcasting. This is episode 54.
Haven't missed a week.
Have not missed one. We've done
a couple extras.
Yeah. Throw in a few extras. That's
few
why.
Presents.
Yeah, it's good
Gifts
stuff.
for you.
365 days of podcasting. So we really appreciate the guys and girls that have been with us since podcast number 1.
A1s since day one.
Exactly. And all the new listeners that we're getting every week, we really appreciate you guys too. So make sure you keep telling your friends about us so we can keep podcasting for another year.
I do want to say a thank you to Sam and Kip. They're the ones that updated the intro and made us sound like we actually know what we're doing.
Yeah, it's sharp.
And I also want to applaud Sam because when he came on for the Deer Camp series on his high and tight buck, he announced that it was going to be ready for the 1 year, and I'll be honest, didn't believe him.
I didn't believe him either.
Tom, did you?
No.
I was certain it wasn't happening.
I was honestly
I think he said it on the podcast.
That's what I just said.
Well, I didn't. I guess I wasn't listening to you that good.
Apparently not.
I thought you were saying he told us, prior to the podcast.
us and the listeners. He told us, everybody.
Yeah. Well, so yeah. Okay. Now we're on the same page.
Yeah. So we didn't believe him. He pulled through, and it's badass.
Yeah. Hopefully you guys all enjoy it.
Yeah. So join us at the table.
And we're going to talk about the outdoors.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I just want to remind you guys to subscribe to reserve your seat at the table every week when we launch. So, without further ado, Tom, Frank, what are we doing tonight?
We're just looking back at the year, man. Just reminiscing.
It's wild. It's pretty crazy. Going from saying we're starting a podcast and not knowing what the hell we were doing to doing a podcast and not knowing what the hell we were doing.
And here we sit a year later.
I feel like we still don't really
know what the hell we're doing.
I feel like I have audio troubles every week, but we power through. I want to applaud everybody on making sure we've had content every single week.
Yeah.
I think it's impressive.
No thanks to Nick the past
year.
Well, just the Deer Camp series.
Mm-hmm.
Foreshadow.
Yeah, you're so funny, Nick.
They'll never see it coming.
Yeah, no, they won't. So, where do we want to go with this? Because we're basically just going to reminisce, like we said. But what do we want to talk about?
So,
I know our very first podcast.
Like with Tom's going with that. We've had 3 location changes.
Yeah,
if you think about it. We started
at the farm.
First podcast was at the farm.
Nick smoked a deer with his truck. On the way
Christmas Eve morning.
That was when we recorded.
One day, we're actually, so this is going to launch exactly at 1 year. And we're recording less than 24 hours. Like 12 hours, really.
Because we did it in the morning.
Yeah. We did it Christmas Eve morning.
Yeah, like 7 in the morning because it was dark when you hit the deer on our way.
Smoked it.
Yeah.
But anyway, so it's pretty cool that like it all lined up. It's exactly 1 year. I thought that was pretty neat.
Yeah.
We planned to do a podcast like this for 1 year, but it was cool that it's going to launch at the exact same time. 5 a.m. Sunday morning, just like always.
Where did that come from?
Some idiot, honestly. I have no clue why we picked 5 a.m. on Sunday. We picked Sunday, so it would be ready to listen to Monday when you went to work. But I honestly don't know why I picked 5 a.m.
There's not a big crowd of guys getting up 5 a.m. Sunday morning.
Well, yeah, but that way when they do get up, it's already there.
Yeah, when you subscribe to the podcast, like all of you should be,
yes,
just automatically downloads. So my thought was that if we release it at 5 a.m., by the time it hits all of the platforms we're on, because like it has to go through that RSS feed. So, once it hits all those platforms, by the time anybody gets up, if they're going to listen to it Sunday, it's probably already there and definitely by Monday morning. So that's our theory behind that.
Okay, now that makes sense.
Yeah. So, like you said, we went from the farm was the first one, super echoey.
Super echoey. I listened to that episode. I was like, wow, this is terrible.
It's bad. Still top downloaded episode of the year. That's pretty wild.
That is.
I checked that stat. 54 episodes later, our top episode is the first one we did.
The content was solid. It was
content
just
was solid.
sound
Yeah.
quality wasn't
Who
there.
is the White Cat and who are we now?
Yeah.
So yeah, we started there. We tried my house in the barn. Found out that the acoustics also sucked in that barn.
Turns out barns are not the place for podcasting.
Yeah, so then we finally settled over at Frank's house. Really good atmosphere. We sit at the bar once a week. We drink beers, surrounded by big bucks and caribou and bear and moose, all kinds of good critters running around. Not really running around anymore, but they were.
They're just
someday.
hanging out.
We got big buck on the wall behind Frank. We got a good shelf of whiskey. It's a really nice setting.
Yeah. We've come a long way since the first barn episode.
It's been a wild ride for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So I do want to kind of go around and I'm going to start with Frank here, but just talking about like your favorite episode or guest or whatever. Like there's 54 episodes. It's probably like that's kind of a lot. I mean,
Yeah, it's quite a few.
So I mean, I'm pretty stoked about it.
Has anyone been? Nick, have you been in all 54 episodes?
Yes,
Nick's
I'm the only one.
Yeah.
54 episodes I have not missed.
The only ones I've missed were when I was in Alaska.
Yeah.
I missed a couple over the summer when I was farming.
Yeah. So really, everybody had good reasons to not be here. The only reason I haven't missed is because I don't think anybody knows how to run the computer. So
Yeah. You almost weren't on one episode. I can't remember who we had on.
It was when Luke was going to Alaska and we had
Nicoletta and Bailey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was in studio. I was just quiet running the computer.
Then
and
you spoke up at the last minute.
Yeah, just to make sure I was on record that I was there.
Can't miss an episode.
Like I said, Frank, favorite episode of the year?
Honestly, I probably don't have one favorite. I have fun every week doing them. But,
That's why we do it.
And you and I were talking about this. I've had the most fun when Jared is on.
Let fly.
I still crack up the way his first episode started.
He cracked a beer and
He had
dumped it all
he had
over
a 22
the place.
ounce PBR on the table and just it exploded like first second of the podcast.
And it was hilarious because he was so nervous about like coming on and talking to a mic. He's like, I don't want to sound stupid and this and that. It took us a while to convince him to come on. And then he finally does, and that's how, as soon as the mic starts recording, he's dumping beer all over the place. It was just a hilarious way for him to start the podcast after being so nervous about it. And
It helped be not so nervous after
yeah,
that.
it gets rid of the serious feel to it. After that, you're just having fun. You're just drinking
that's
beer.
what we try and explain to people is like we're not, we try and talk to people that know what they're talking about. Because I want to learn, and we want the people that listen in to learn. But it's entertaining, it's fun.
And when you know what you're talking about and you're passionate about it, it's easy to talk.
Yeah, I mean, I think our first podcast with Jared, I think was like 3 hours. It was absolutely
long.
crazy. It was just a good time. But I mean, I talked to Jared way longer than that all the time, so it was not much. Like you said, yeah, Jared's always been a really good guest to have on.
Yeah,
and people seem to enjoy it when he's on. So
yeah, and as far as like information goes, I was loving last week's episode with Scotty and Turks and Tynes talking trail cams and stuff, because that's something that everybody does all the time, and I do, but I realize that I've done a lot of things wrong or different that I could do a lot better as far as trail cams go. So I really, really enjoyed listening to what he had to say that whole episode.
Yeah, if you haven't heard that one yet, when you're done with this one, go back, make sure you listen to the episode 53. It's a really heavy hitter episode, I think. Probably one of the biggest consistent buck killers we've had.
Yeah.
So I think that was a good one, solid one to listen to. So if you haven't listened to it, if you already did, listen to it again.
If you feel like it.
Yeah, if you want.
Yeah, those are probably definitely my favorite episodes. Anytime we have Jared on, he just likes to let loose and have fun. Let fly.
Yeah.
He's a good dude. So we always have fun with him.
Tommy, where's in 50 we'll say 49 episodes ish, since you weren't here for all of them. Yeah. Eek.
Some of us have to plant food plots and
I make
what
sure I
have you.
spread my seed when I'm not on the podcast. Figure it's not good to mix the two.
True.
Anyway, Tom.
You gonna answer him?
He didn't ask me my question.
Tom,
Nick.
what is your favorite podcast you've been a part of this year?
I'm not gonna lie to you, Nick. Last week was a good one.
Wow, another vote for Scotty Thompson. Not surprised, honestly.
Yeah, it was a good one.
Just his knowledge. I didn't say it yesterday. 'Cause I felt like he would have probably been like, "Look at this idiot." But I pulled my trail cams first day of gun season, and I left the cameras up, took the memory cards out, and was like, "Oh, let's see what I missed in between, the end of bow in the beginning of gun." And I never put the cards back in. So,
Idiot.
yeah, he would not approve. But I tell you what, as the last time I'm doing that stupid thing, because listen, he's on another level when it comes to knowledge of deer movement and camera usage. So, like Frank said, if you haven't listened to that episode, definitely go back and listen to it, especially if you're into running cameras. I think you can definitely learn a lot from Scotty. And I know I definitely did. I've been running cameras for, 10 years. And I'm definitely switching my approach from how I've been doing it to how I'm going to do it in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Does anybody want to ask me a question?
Nick.
No, I'm good.
Yeah, I think we're done
I was
here.
going to wrap it up there. Thanks, everybody. This is our final podcast now.
Hey, Nick.
What, Frank?
Since you've been on all
All of
54
them, yeah.
episodes now,
Listen to each of them multiple times.
yeah, which one has been your favorite so far?
So with 54 episodes, it has been tough to nail it down to one. So I got a few honorable mentions that I'd like to talk about. First one being episode 36. That was with Deers and Beers. Kyle and Ryan over
Frank
there.
wasn't there,
Yeah,
but
Frank
I
missed
missed
that one.
I listened to it in the airport on the way home from Alaska.
That was one of those podcasts where I drank too many beers and just had an absolute blast.
Yeah.
Kyle and Ryan are, just good old boys out of Michigan. Same mindset as us when it comes to deer hunting and deer camp. And it was just a really fun episode to record.
I'll just definitely second that.
Yeah, it was. We had.
I
a
wish
lot.
I could have been here for that one because when I
We'll
was
just,
listening
we'll just
to
have
it,
to bring them again.
I guess so.
Simple enough.
Yeah, when I was listening to it on my way home from Alaska, I was laughing in the airport because it just seemed like you guys were having a lot of fun, and they seemed like awesome dudes.
East Coast Trev was another really good one.
Yeah, over with the Outdoor Drive podcast. I think that was episode 35.
Don't
Nope, that's a
remember what-
lie.
No,
was
because that one was when I was in Alaska
39.
too.
39.
Seen a pattern. All these great episodes. Frank was
Yeah,
in
I know.
Alaska.
Yep.
Seen it
Mhm.
back. But so another awesome podcast. 31 was the Rattlesnakes with John Royer. I think
yeah,
that
that
was a really cool podcast. I learned a lot about rattlesnakes. Not that I know a lot anyway, but John he's just a really interesting guy to talk to.
Yeah, even if it wasn't about snake hunting, he's just a cool guy to listen to and watch his YouTube channel. He's just a sweet dude and knows so much about all different facets of the outdoors.
Yeah. And then last specific podcast I really enjoyed was episode 20 with Luke Moyer with October's Obsession. That was a really fun episode, and he's just one hell of a storyteller. He's very calculated when it comes to his hunting, but I think what sets him to the next part is just his storytelling ability. Same with Blaine. Blaine did a really good job with his big PA buck this year. I was getting chills hearing his story. But then, as always, Jared Larson's always so much fun to have on.
Yeah.
So that it's
Because Jared's another one. He's fun to listen to when he's telling a story.
yeah, and I think maybe comes with years of knowing him. But he's not shy in front of a camera or anything. He's pretty active on social media. So he's very animated, I guess.
Yeah.
And it's just a lot of fun always. But he's like that without a mic in front of him too. So we always have a good time. But so another, I guess, quick little thing I do want to say is we are dangerously close to releasing merch. I'm just going to say it now. We have a small batch of tests coming in the mail very soon. I mean,
Just for quality assurance.
yeah, it's quality assurance. And then after that point, as long as it gets the okay from the team, we're going to be launching T-shirts and sweatshirts, hoodies, decals, stickers, that kind of stuff. Full force. Will be a couple T-shirt designs coming up. And it's also going to allow for us we can do more T-shirt designs and whatnot. I don't want to give too much away, but basically we're going to have some merchandise very, very soon.
Yeah, get ready for the merch.
I mean,
'cause
it might
people
be,
have been asking about it.
Yeah, it might be live before you even listen to this. I don't know.
That'd be whack.
It's basically, I said, we are just, Christmas time's a real shit time to try and get some product shipped to you.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's in the mail. It's on the way. It's actually in Erie.
Oh, man,
we're
it's
very,
almost here.
very close, but it's probably going to be after Christmas at this point.
Yeah.
Oh, they deliver packages Christmas Eve,
Well, we'll see.
I think.
But
Yeah,
anyway,
it's got to be a huge day for them.
Probably.
either way, we're very, very close for that. So, if you're somebody that, we put a poll out, it was like over 90% of the people that answered, were like, yes, let's see some merch, and gave us some suggestions. So it's been
And
pretty
the
cool.
people that said no, like I don't get that at all.
There was only, I think, like 2.
But why?
Honestly, I don't know.
They think merch is stupid.
Like,
I mean, it
if you
doesn't
don't
hurt
want it,
them.
you don't have to buy it.
But you should. You should.
Yeah.
I think we got some sweet T-shirt designs coming out. I don't want to give away the actual designs.
Yeah,
but
don't give too
if
much
you,
away.
If you listen to the podcast,
You'll get it.
You'll get one.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll obviously have, just the standard White Cat logo that you see, but there's going to be some fun ones coming out.
I'd like to take credit for the one.
You will.
Yeah.
I even
I
put
will.
by Tom Sobes in it. I'm just kidding. I didn't do that.
That'd
The
be
coolest one. That's my thing.
That's actually the one we're testing. So it's gonna be good stuff.
Yeah, I know a lot of people are excited for merch. Everyone that we hang out with that listens, or
Yeah, I
they're
mean,
always asking. For,
We got hoodies, T-shirts. There's 3/4 sleeves, baseball tees in the lineup. Those are a hot item these days. So just look out for that. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Yeah, I just want to call out real quick. Tom, I can see it. He's been playing with a laser this entire time.
we tried to take it away from
You're not
him.
going unnoticed.
Yeah, but you didn't hear it.
Yeah, I did, but it's okay.
I just need to get the laser away from the bar from now on.
I apologize for the unorganized episode here. We just, we're just more excited that we're actually still doing this and don't.
We
show
can talk
any-
about whatever the hell we want.
Yeah, exactly.
I think we should go around and tell our favorite hunting story from the past year.
All right, Tom, why don't you start us off?
All right. Favorite hunting story.
You asked the question and you're not prepared to answer it?
Well, no, I'm very prepared to answer it. My favorite hunting story. I don't know if we talked about this at all on the podcast. This was opening day of Spring Gobbler in New York. Did we cover this?
We talked about
think
going
we
across
did.
the border for birds, but we never did a follow-up.
I thought we did talk about it. I don't want to give away the ending, but
Yeah, so me and Frank, we get up to the cabin the night before, which is turkey season in New York always starts May 1st.
Wasn't I there too?
No. Well,
no, it was just me and
you came up that night, but you had to work in the morning. So
Oh,
you
that's
couldn't
right,
hunt.
because it's midday. Yeah, I forgot. Or midweek. Yeah,
yeah, you didn't hunt. It was just me and Tom.
I forgot. Their Spring Gobbler opens May 1st, whether it's a Saturday or a Wednesday.
Yeah. So we get up to the cabin and having a good old time, drinking some beers. I had these birds figured out. I've been going up a couple times a week, patterning them, getting them, knowing just right where they're coming off the roost. And I'm telling Frank, I'm like, we're going to be in them tomorrow. And I was pretty pumped because Frank had a camera. And
I had Luke's camera.
yeah, we were going to be. We were going to be.
Tom's having a little bit of technical difficulties over there. His mic must be acting up.
Something like
Catching
that.
his whiskers in the pop filter or something. We'll give him a second to cool down, and we'll just jump right back into the
Gain
story whenever he's
composure.
ready. Maybe it's probably the lasers getting him distracted. Maybe you should put it down.
I think it's the laser.
It was not the laser.
So where were you?
I have these birds figured out, and we had a little bit to drink the night before.
You did.
Yeah, I think you had a beer with me.
Maybe one, but you had more than one.
Get up, probably. I like to get up nice and early, about 4 o'clock, get my coffee going on the percolator. And I don't know what happened, but I set my coffee on the stove. And there's no electricity in this cabin. We just have a wood stove. And for those of you that don't know what a percolator is, basically you fill a can with water, put the coffee grinds on the top, and there's a tube that goes down into the water. And when the water boils, it goes up the tube, out the top of the tube, and then drips down into the coffee grinds through the filter.
Got yourself some coffee.
Got yourself some coffee. It's how you make coffee without a coffee pot. So get my coffee going, and one thing leads to another. I don't know if we were shooting B-roll in the cabin or what, but I forgot about my coffee, and we were off into the turkey woods. And I had completely forgot until about 6 o'clock, just when it's starting to get light.
Yeah, we were sitting at the tree, and you leaned over to me. You're like, I think I forgot the coffee.
Yeah, and sure enough, I did. When we got back to camp, I confirmed that indeed I did forget. Anyway, we're sitting at the bottom of this tree. Me and Frank, we got the camera ready, and I know these birds are hitting the ground and working down to the bottom of this hill. There's a nice big maple flat where they've been strutting and making their scratches, looking for bugs and whatnot. And I knew that this is right where they're coming. And it starts, getting light out, and we haven't heard a gobble yet. And it's like a picture perfect gobbling morning. Like they should be.
Yeah, it was nice
like
and
crazy.
calm, cold.
Yeah, and I'm like, what the heck's going on? And just when I really started to get nervous was when I heard the first gobble. And then it was like the hillside lit up. There was 5 or 6 gobblers going on the hill, couple behind us, and I was like, all right, back
We're
in
in it
action.
now.
We're back in it. And I don't like to call much on the roost. I think that when you call on the roost, that lets the gobblers know, hey, I'm coming to you. You don't have to worry about it. I'm going to fly down and work my way towards you. So I like to wait for the gobblers to fly down, and then that's when I'll let them know where I'm at. So I let these birds fly down and just let out a few, soft clucks and yelps. And to my surprise, the woods were quiet. I'm like, it's weird. Should have heard a gobbler hammer back. And I waited about 4 or 5 minutes, called again, nothing. I'm like, that's weird. And I don't know, about another minute after that, I see a gobbler about 80 yards away go into strut and then come out of strut and then make a beeline right for me. And I'm like, oh man. So I whisper to Frank, I'm like, gobbler coming. So he gets ready and he's making a beeline right to us. He stops on the other side of the creek, and he was probably 45 yards.
Yeah, he wasn't far.
I mean, I probably, looking back, should have smoked him then, but I was like, oh, he's coming in on a string. Yeah. We're gonna let him come in, get some good footage of him. And he crosses the creek, and there's this little knob that he's on the back side of. So all I can see is basically his head and nothing else on the far side of this knob. And I don't know, the adrenaline got to me, and I mean, if I would have waited, this bird would have, I think, came and sat on my lap.
He was coming right to us.
Yeah, but I just couldn't wait any longer. He was probably at like 25 yards at this point, and all I could see was his head, and I just said, I got to do it now. So I shot, and the bird flew off.
Friggin' beefed it.
Yeah, I looked over at Frank, and I was like, I don't know what happened. That was bad. So my first time ever on camera, I mean, I couldn't have asked for a better scenario.
Yeah, it
and
worked
I just,
out perfect.
Yeah, I just totally laid an egg, just botched it.
Yeah.
But
My favorite part of the story is that after that happened, we went back to the cabin, and that was when Tom realized he had left the coffee on the stove, and he's like, you know what? As punishment for missing that bird, I'm going to drink this pot of coffee because it had been perking for quite a long time. So it was like
about
oil.
3.5 hours.
About 5,000 miles on used motor oil.
Yeah.
It was the consistency of tar. It was disgusting, but I had to do it, and I'm stronger because of it. I learned because of it.
No more missed birds from then on out.
Yeah, that was the last bird I missed.
You're not lying.
No, I'm not.
Boy.
Oh, man, that's good stuff. Nick, since that was Tom's. What's your favorite hunting story from the previous year?
From this previous year, my favorite hunting story's got to be big man Todd Sobes getting a big buck this year.
Getting one of the hundreds of high end tights that we killed this year.
Yeah. So obviously there's a podcast out of the Deer Camp series on my dad's buck. That was wildly weird that Tom's fart happened at the same time his cell phone went off. Pretty wild.
Pretty wild.
It's weird, guys. But anyway, so there's an episode on it, but just to give you the gist so you want to check it out even more. Basically, my dad has spent a lot of time, making sure Tom and I were in the best stands possible to get the job done, and he kind of took a back seat to our hunting for quite a while, and kind of he wanted us in the best places to hunt, and it worked. I mean, me and Tom have killed a lot of deer over the last few years while my dad went without, and this past year we were up at camp. Me and Tom were going to be there for 9 days with our buddy Joe, and my dad was just up for the weekend, and I was out doing some scouting, came across some good sign, and decided I wanted to put my dad on this sign, because for years he's putting us in the stands that he thinks are going to be the best, and it works for us, and he'd rather see us kill something.
Mm-hmm.
But this time I told him I want you to go sit here, it's hot, the deer are there now. He said okay, so we went there in the morning. Long story short, killed a big buck on the stand I told him to go to after seeing all the sign there, so it worked out really, really cool. I was just so happy to be a part of that whole experience with him, and I jumped out of my stand so fast when he told us he had a buck down, and just
exciting
just
stuff.
a absolute wild hunt for me. It's just like I said, I was so pumped, I was shaking like I just shot a deer when I got the text, and he shot me a text and said he sent an arrow for Clyde, and I texted him buck or doe, and before I could even or he could answer that, I was calling him. I was like, screw that, I just need to talk to him.
Yeah. His hunt's already over, so mine's over. I'm calling him.
As soon as he said that he hit a deer, and it was a buck. He said it was, he could tell it was a pretty good buck. I climbed down immediately, packed up my stand. I didn't even actually pack my stand. I literally threw my sticks on the ground as I was coming off the tree, and I literally grabbed my stand by the side, and then had a bundle of sticks under one arm, and I had my bow across my back, when I was around my neck, we were in Ohio.
Yeah.
And just hiked it towards the truck as fast as I could. I didn't have time to pack this up. I'm so excited. I actually beat him back to camp, and I was on the other side of the farm. I drove over to the other side and came in from below. But it was just such a cool experience for me to be there for my dad getting one, and just finally seeing the bug bit him again, basically, because he went so long without killing a deer.
Yeah, the last time he killed one was before you guys could even hunt.
Yeah, we were rifle hunting, but not archery hunting. So it was, I could see
tell
it.
You, the last buck my dad killed was when I was 10 years old, because that's when I could start doing the mentor rifle hunting. And my dad bought this grunt tube that year, and he had shot a buck. It was the first 2 weeks of archery season. And so we're sitting in the tree stand. Now this is gun season now. My dad already got a buck, and he's taking me out mentor hunting. And he said, the last time I used this grunt tube, big buck came in. And so I'm like, oh, I'm sold. This thing
This works
It's magic.
every time.
So
It's actually the old mad growl call.
it is. And he's like, "Do you want me to use it?" I'm like, "Oh yeah."
You better believe it.
And so
I
he
don't know if you're ready for this, Tom.
he broke it out and used it. I'm not kidding you. It wasn't 10 minutes later. My very first buck that I shot was 15 yards away. So after that, I was 100% sold.
You need to buy 50 of these things.
That is the real deal grunt tube right there. So yeah, that's me and Dad got bucks the same year, and that was I
Okay.
was
10.
10.
Yeah, so it was
12 years
12
ago.
years, yeah.
I mean, I can. It's obvious.
I'm sorry, 13 years ago.
Tom's never good at math.
Nope.
Shapes though.
Shapes. That's our guy.
But yeah, so like just you can see it in my dad now. Like it like relit a fire in him. You know, after killing that buck. I mean, he wants to shoot his bow even more now. I mean, every time we go to the store, he's looking at new bows and stuff. Like, cause he's got an old Martin that's like, I mean, old.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's all just coming back, and I absolutely love it. I'm here for it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's my favorite hunting story of the year, for sure. And then I guess we'll pass it over to Frank. I mean, he's had plenty of hunting stories throughout the year. So
Yeah, definitely my favorite one, hands down, is what I talked about a couple weeks ago on my deer camp series when I was down in North Carolina, because it wasn't even the shooting, because I shot a nice buck down there and a doe. It wasn't about that at all, because my dad used to take me and my sister down there when we were kids before we could hunt in PA, and we went with the same people that we went with before, and it was just really cool to be back down there after 15 years of being away. We were with Carolina Woods and Water, and I shot my first deer with the one guy named Scooter down there, and it was just so awesome to be back in camp with them and hanging out with those guys after 15 years. I haven't seen them since I was 11 years old, so it was just
a boy.
Yeah, I was little, and so it was just really awesome to be back down there hunting with those people that I haven't seen in so long, and it was an added bonus that I got a couple deer, and one of them was a nice buck. It was just a really, really nice treat to spend a week with my dad hunting down there, talking about how we used to go down there all the time and hanging out with Scooter, talking about, because literally every time someone would come walking by, Scooter would tell him about how I shot my first deer sitting on his knee. It was just a lot of fun. It was a really, really cool time to go hunting. It was just an awesome week. So that's that. You know, like you said, I've done a lot of hunting this year and traveling around, going different places up to Alaska, and that hands down, hunting in North Carolina was the highlight of my hunting year for sure.
Yeah, I enjoyed listening to that episode, and I wished I could have made it down there, but I had literally already had. I burn up all of my time off and probably then some hunting.
Yeah,
and
as we all do.
Yeah, so it was just I had already had prior plans. You know, I got 9 days in New York, and I got some time in Ohio earlier this year, and again this coming year, and it's just so I'll get there eventually. I just gotta quit working.
We definitely plan on going back down there again.
So if any of you guys want to just like pay us to produce content, like we're not against it.
Yeah, start sending the money.
We have a Patreon account. You could literally support us if you want. So every dollar counts. What else? I mean, this has been a crazy year. Maybe updates to the headquarters.
Yeah,
We got a bar.
Yeah, that's
feel free to swing by.
Open 24 hours. Yeah, we've expanded. We've talked about the headquarters, right?
Yeah, quite a bit.
Yeah, we have our headquarters cabin up.
I feel like that's something that we do all the time. Like, we'll talk about something like 5 times on different podcasts.
Did we ever talk about
we
this?
ever bring that up? It's like,
because
yeah,
there's
we
so much
talked
beer
about
that
it
gets
10
drank
times.
It's okay. What a hunting camp doesn't tell the same story over and over again. So I mean, you can
hear
relate.
the same big buck stories
can
every
relate.
year.
Yeah, spoiler alert, we're just going to re-release every episode this year. Call it a day. No. But anyway, so yeah, headquarters, everybody knows about it. Big bucks get killed there every year. And that's all I'm going to say about that right now.
Yeah, we'll talk about that next week.
But we went from, we had our humble abode cabin that we got, with fireplace and the kitchen, bathroom out back, and bedroom, tile floors, hard oak floors, really nice little place. But we were missing something, and it was a bar. From day one, I wanted headquarters to have a bar because, sometimes when I want to go to the bar, I've already been drinking too much and I just can't get there.
Yeah.
So I thought, why don't we bring the bar to us?
They do have those Amish taxis.
Yeah, well, I didn't want to do that either. Tom shot it down at first. Tom said no bar at the cabin, takes up too much room, he says. And you know what? I think he only had 1/3 of the vote, and somehow we went with that route.
Yeah, it was wild.
But nonetheless, I decided that a bar needed to be put up there when I acquired a second structure. And I told Tom that, I have done the legwork on this second cabin. We're putting a bar in it. So we have now officially opened Shooter's Tavern Bar and Grill. It's open 24 hours.
Minus the grill.
Yeah, there's not a grill. Not yet,
It's
anyways.
Shooter's Bar and Tavern.
I thought, there is no grill. It is a bar and tavern.
Yeah, but taverns serve food.
We serve
do
food.
not, yeah.
We had pizza and wings.
Nuts.
We have mixed nut pizza and wings.
It's good stuff.
Full bar. And we got hams and Busch Light and cheap whiskey.
BV, Crown.
Yeah.
What more could you ask
Jaeger.
for?
Yeah, we got everything really. We got a shot bat for ripping shots. If you haven't got one of those for Christmas, maybe get one for Valentine's Day. Contact South Hill Bats for a shot bat. I love it.
It's a good time.
It's cool because when you drink out of a shot bat, they don't count.
No.
Like if somebody's asked how much you've had to drink tonight, anything that was in a shot bat doesn't count.
Yeah.
I consider them balls. Like it doesn't count towards your strikes. And so really, I mean, it's kind of like more like a dead ball. It doesn't even go on the pitching count. Doesn't a little bit of everything. Shot bats are really nice for that.
Yeah.
And they're just straight up a good time.
Yeah.
Very good time.
So get one of those. But yeah, so that's what else have we done up to the? We really expanded our food sources at the headquarters.
We talked about that quite a bit this
Yeah,
year
we
in a
have.
couple of
But that
different
I'm just
podcasts.
re-highlighting what we're really turning that place into a Whitetails dream someday. We're getting there.
Yeah.
It's gonna take some time, but patience will play out for us.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll be talking about the new stuff we're doing plenty more this year.
Oh yeah. We're
Got
definitely
big
gonna,
plans.
Yeah, big plans for this year at the headquarters and for the podcast. We're gonna really ramp things up.
Yeah.
And just make it that much better for you guys.
Yeah, and we definitely need all the feedback possible from
Yeah.
you guys for the podcast.
Yeah, we appreciate all feedback, good and bad, just because it helps make it better for you. If there's something that every week we're doing that pisses you off, let us know.
Because it's probably pissing off more people than just
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, if Tom is just getting on your nerves and you just want him gone, done,
Yeah,
it's gotta-
In a heartbeat.
just get,
out the
Tom's
door.
here to stay. But yeah, so like I said, let us know.
Leave it in the comments.
Yeah, don't get him started. But yeah, I know Brandon Tierney, he's up in New York. He's a big fan of the podcast and stuff, and he's always giving me feedback, so that's really nice.
Yeah.
He got into it a little. He just found us not too long ago, which good for him because now he had a whole bank of podcasts to go listen to.
Yeah.
The guys that have been here since day one, they only get one a week.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they got two. We spoil them a little bit. But yeah, for the most part, like he was able to, had quite a bit backlogged.
Mm-hmm.
Our cousin Tristan, he's really enjoyed it. He binged our podcast like 6 in a day
Nice.
on Spotify, so that was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
So we love just hearing people that support us and stuff because like I swear we will never get to a point where I don't appreciate every single person that tunes
exactly.
in. I can promise you we will never be too big to support the people that support us.
Yeah.
I just really enjoy it.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah,
and,
so
I mean, we're doing it for you guys, and I mean a little bit for our own enjoyment because we enjoy
a lot
doing
for
the
our own enjoyment.
It's a lot for our own enjoyment, and if you guys enjoy it, it's a bonus. No. But I mean, it's been really fun. I mean, the fact that like we're not tied to any companies or anything, we can say whatever we want, and it makes it a lot of fun. I mean, obviously we're not closing doors to anything, but right now it's it's small, it's our own baby, and we can kind of do what we want and nurture it the way we want and have fun.
Yeah, and whatever you guys tell us, we can incorporate it however we see
Yeah.
fit. And
Yeah, if you got somebody that you're like, oh, you should talk to this guy, like, let us know. We'll set it up. We're always looking for a guest.
yeah, for sure.
But yeah, that's another thing I want to shoot for is more guests next year.
Yeah.
It's
This year.
been tough
Yeah.
this year with
COVID
Corona.
has
Yeah.
a bunch of
we
bullshit.
picked a hell of a year to start up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It definitely was tough because we had a couple of people that we had lined up like right before all this stuff happened. Like at Harrisburg, we were talking to some people, and then
We were getting ready to possibly podcast down there, and then everything
Yeah.
just fell through.
Yeah, and Harrisburg's already canceled this year,
A
so
bunch of bullshit is what it is.
yeah. So it was a hell of a year for podcasting as far as getting guests in studio.
I didn't even know how to really work a podcast, and now we're trying to like do phone interviews. That was a whole new realm of things to learn, but we had fun with it.
Yeah, we definitely did.
So
We learned a lot.
still learning.
Yeah. Good thing you run the computer and no one else has to worry about that.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, I have had a few people reach out to me over the past year, just when they find out that, you know, we do a podcast, and then we work with audio equipment every day, or not every week, I guess I should say. But then they ask me for pointers on like how they could get started, or they're doing their own podcast. And I'll be honest with you, like I can try my best, but I still don't feel like I know what I'm doing. Like like it's the blind leading the blind. I feel like, I mean, our podcast works and stuff, but I don't know enough to teach somebody else. I try and give the pointers I can. But my biggest advice to anybody that's considered doing anything, whether it be a podcast or videos or anything in your life, just do it. So there's no wondering later.
Yeah.
So
Because that's how, I mean, we talked about it a little bit, like here and there, like, yeah, we could do a podcast, and it kind of just went by the wayside for a while, and then it was just like, you know what, I'm buying some stuff.
that,
and
we announced
we're doing it.
That was another thing. We like announced before we had an idea on how to even launch a podcast. We said everybody January 2021 or January 2020. Sorry, we're starting the podcast.
And we
and
had
at that
nothing.
point, I don't even think we had all of our equipment. We didn't know how to launch a podcast. We didn't know how to produce anything.
Yeah.
So then it was like, okay, we've set the time. Now let's learn how to do it.
Sometimes that's the best way to do it. Then you know you have
first
to
two
get it done.
podcasts-
I say the best way to learn something is by going
Doing
ahead
it
and
anyway.
doing it anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I think the first two we recorded, I deleted on accident.
Yes, that did happen.
So it's been a wild ride. I mean, that's about all I can really say about the year. I just continued thanking everybody for supporting it.
Definitely can't say thank you enough to all of our listeners.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
And all the guests that we've had on. You guys have
the
been
guests
great too.
Exactly. I love watching new states pop up, and we've got downloads across the entire U.S. now, which I think is amazing. Like when we first started watching, it's like, oh, you know, PA's, you know, oh, we got one in Ohio. It's like, oh, hey, down in Maryland, and it just slowly kind of spread, and like, it's so cool to see that, like, all of a sudden, for whatever reason, there's people all over the country and a few around in other countries that don't even speak English, I didn't know, are listening in. So I think that's pretty wild. It's just like so neat to see that kind of stuff. And like every time I feel like I get like doubting myself, like why I'm wasting my time, I get like a message from somebody and they're like, hey man, like I just found your podcast. I absolutely love this shit. Like keep it up. Like this is so cool. I'm like, all right, I'm back. Like now, like that's just what I needed. It's like every time I get to that point, somehow I get
pulled right back.
Yeah. But yeah, that's about
that's the year in review.
Yeah, that's all I have to say about that, as Forrest Gump would say. Tom, do you have any closing remarks you want to do on the year?
I just wanted to, you know, like Frank said and Nick said, thank all of our supporters. We can't thank you enough. We really do appreciate all the feedback and everybody that tunes in week after week, and the guests for taking time out of their busy schedule to make time for us to come on our show. I mean, it's pretty cool.
For sure.
Frank, I'll give you an opportunity. I know you kind of jumped in with both of us, but like, if you got any closing remarks you want to throw out there?
No, that's about it. I've pretty much said everything. Just definitely, if you're a listener, give us feedback all the time. Hit us up on Instagram. Leave comments on our YouTube channel. Always let us know who you want to hear from.
Yeah, I answer every single message that comes in, which I like. That's another thing I really want to strive to do. Sometimes I can't get back to you right away, just because sometimes they get lost in the shuffle and stuff. But I answer every message that comes through.
Yeah.
So feel free to reach out to us. We're always there to help. But on that note, thank you everybody. Here's to 2021. Get outside.